We're here at the convention center in a separate room where we've set up various artifacts, pieces, photos, and other items related to the Arthur House, the history house in Arthur, North Dakota. Can you tell us what we're trying to achieve here, Craig?
Yeah, thanks, Darren. We have been working the past 4 or 5 years on that house, the house that Good Samaritan began in, and we bought that and moved it onto our campus and kind of refinished it to give a flavor of what it was like in 1922 and 23 when we began. And so with this room, since we can't bring the whole house here, with this room, we're really trying to create a number of scenes, a variety of images that really date back to 1922, 1923 and that first house. And so we have pictures that came out of the 20s, pictures of the old Model T cars and the kids who were part of that first house. We have a variety of images, black and white photos that are in our archives. And then we also have colored photographs that come from the house as it looks currently today. And what we want to do is to invite people to get a sense of our beginnings. What did we look like right at the start of Good Samaritan? Who were the people who were the first residents and the first staff members? What did their life kind of seem like as they lived and worked in this little 6-room house? You know, there was no sense of being handicapped accessible like we would have today. They're very steep, narrow stairs. I mean, you can see them here. And the rooms for the residents, there were 13, and many of them were crippled children. We had a few adults who had epilepsy, would live up on the 2nd floor. But in order for those kids who were crippled to get up and down, Sister Augusta, Minnie, who was a first staff member, literally had to pick them up and carry them. And the older kids, you know, 14, 15 years old, were pretty heavy. And so there were some just physical challenges in terms of living together in a small house. It was crowded. There were 3 bedrooms upstairs, and with 13 residents and 2 and then 3 staff people. The staff people lived right with the residents, so you had 16 people living in these 3 small bedrooms. And eating together in the dining room, they were all crowded around a big table. The kitchen, here you can see in the back is the kitchen back here, and that's where they would do the bathing on Saturday nights. They would heat the water on an old wood or coal stove, and so they were always kind of tripping over each other, and just the physical proximity would at times be a challenge in terms of getting on each other's nerves. Currently here in the room we have some audio files that were created imagining what it was like to live together, and you can hear some of the actors in terms of the crabbiness, get out of my way, get out of my room, leave me alone. You can imagine that kind of feelings that they had.
Don't you want to ask his blessing and thank him for all the good things you have?
Ain't got much good happening to me.
Yeah, I'm
So
quiet.
just keep it quiet in here, and I ain't saying no little kid's prayers.
Oh, you're loud.
I wouldn't think of asking you to follow along. I was thinking you would lead the children in their prayers.
So that was a big challenge. And then when we were just beginning, another huge challenge was there were no finances. And so Dad Hager began with a couple $1,000s, but it was soon gone. And so in terms of operating funds or money in the bank, there wasn't any, none. They depended on donations. The people who lived here, those first residents, and you can see a little bit over here, this is Augusta and some of the first early residents and staff. I mean, they came with maybe $30, $40 that the parents would give, and that was to last indefinitely. And so Dad Hager was busy fundraising, asking people for help. There were some desperate times for people, and it was hard even to find enough food to feed all of the residents for this place. So yeah, those were some of the challenges. Our staff were not trained like they are now. Augusta had some training as a Lutheran deaconess, but basically Dad Hager said, we're bringing the residents and you need to make the best of it. And so she was very practical. She was a farm girl there in North Dakota. She simply did the best she could. She had no training in psychology, in the particular care of people with disabilities, nothing like that. She simply had to make things work and to help people get along. And so she had a lot of practical wisdom, but no particular training to kind of oversee a house with people with disabilities. But she was a remarkable woman in what she could do with the very little that she had. But now it sits behind the nursing home and it is open to the public, not unlocked all the time, but you can always go to the nursing home and say, I'd like to look at the house, can somebody let me in? And then it's open. And it's also open when we have particular events there at Arthur. So when we have home days, or there's open house at the nursing home, or they're doing something on campus, then they'll open that up and people can go and look. So they would be able to glimpse kind of what it was like to actually live in that first house.